The Weekly Podioplex will begin after this short podcasting promotional.
Hey, it's New York Times best-selling horror author Scott Sigler. Scott, what are you doing for Memorial Day weekend?
I'm probably going to kill someone at Balticon.
That's Balticon, the Maryland Regional Science Fiction and Fantasy Convention, held Memorial Day weekend each year. For more information, go to balticon.org. Sigler! Not the paying customers! I'm going to Balticon. Shouldn't you be going too?
This is Michael Faulkner, and it's showtime at the May 1st, 2012 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you by the Chronic Rift. Starting with the box office report, this weekend's results kind of taste like bitter disappointment. The rundown kicks off with number 10 and Cabin in the Woods, down 4 spots from 6th. In 9th is The Three Stooges, down 4 from 9th. At number 8 is Chimpanzee, down 4 from 4th. In 7th is the new release, The Raven, opening with $7.3 million. It opened lower than nearly all comparable movies, including director James McTeague's V for Vendetta, which premiered with $23.1 million, and 2001's period serial killer flick From Hell, which took $11 million. In 6th place is Safe, premiering with $7.9 million. That's less than last year's The Mechanic, which opened with $11.4 million, and Killer Elite's $9.4 million. It did, however, beat out Crank High Voltage, which opened with $7 million. For a quick review of Safe, visit the Chronic Rift website at the link in the show notes. At 5th, we have The 5-Year Engagement, procrastinating its way to theaters with $10.6 million, compared to Forgetting Sarah Marshall's $17.7 million, and the $26.2 million from Bridesmaids. Yeah, that's a disappointment as well. In 4th place is The Lucky One, down 2 from 2nd. The Lucky One pulled in $10.8 million over the weekend for a new total of $39.4 million. Holding steady in 3rd place is The Hunger Games, adding another $10.8 million to its current total of $372 million. That movie now stands at 17th on the all-time charts. In 2nd is new release, The Pirates! Band of Misfits. With the trusty exclamation point in the title, the swashbucklers swashed their buckles into theaters with $11 million, which is lower than Arthur Christmas's $12.1 million debut last November, and is the worst opening ever for Ardent Animation. Coming in at number 1 this week is Think Like a Man, holding on for a second week in the top spot with $17.6 million. That film now stands at $60.5 million overall. Closing out the box office report, let's take a look at what was winning the box office in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2007, Spider-Man 3 swung up to the top spot, opening with $151.1 million. The film's opening day gross of $59.8 million broke Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest record of $55.8 million for the highest single-day tally of all time. It also broke Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest record of $135.6 million for the highest summer weekend debut, as well as Spider-Man's record of $114.8 million for the highest weekend debut in May. Spider-Man 3 was the first film ever to gross more than $150 million in one weekend, and Spider-Man 3 had the highest weekend debut of 2007. 10 years ago in 2002, Spider-Man was number 1 with $114.8 million. Spider-Man broke Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone's record of $90.3 million for the highest weekend debut of all time, and the Lost World Jurassic Park's record of $72.1 million for the highest weekend debut in May. Spider-Man was the first film ever to gross more than $100 million in 3 days, and had the highest weekend debut of 2002. 20 years ago in 1992, Basic Instinct had its third consecutive week at number 1 with 7 weeks in release with $4 million. 30 years ago in 1982, Porky's hit its 8th week at number 1 with $3.4 million. And 40 years ago in 1972, The Godfather was in its 7th week at number 1 with $4.4 million. The week of May 4th marks the start of the summer movie season, and it kicks off in high fashion with The Avengers, an action-adventure film starring Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Scarlett Johansson.
You were made to be ruled. In the end, it'll be every man for himself.
get ready.
There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people. So when we needed them, they could fight the battles that we never could. Gentlemen, what are you prepared to do?
No offense, but I don't play well with others.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that away. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. If we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn sure we'll avenge it. Dr. Banner, your work is unparalleled, and I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster.
Thanks.
Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. brings together a team of superhumans to form the Avengers to help save the Earth from Loki and his army. The Avengers is rated PG-13. Just in case you can't get into the Avengers, you have one other option this week. That's the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, a comedic drama starring Judi Dench, Bill Nighy, and Maggie Smith.
Come and spend your autumn years in an Indian palace.
This is the day.
It's a luxury development where all the residents are in their golden years.
Like the coast of Florida?
Yeah, but with more elephants.
Flight 247 to Delhi is boarding now.
Would you like some of this? I believe it's called aloo ka paratha.
Now, if I can't pronounce it, I don't want to eat it.
Is this your first time in India?
Yes. Do you think we'll be all right?
It's going to be extraordinary.
Welcome to the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel.
Prepare to be amazed.
There's an Indian in there.
I want to stay at the other hotel, the one that's in the brochure.
In India, we have a saying, everything will be all right in the end. So if it is not all right, it is not yet the end.
This is a new and different world. The challenge is to cope with it. And not just cope, but thrive. I got a job, my first ever. I'm about to make the first public speech of my life.
Imagine them naked.
I'm afraid I gave that up several years ago.
Ah, there you are. Good as new.
Really?
No, of course not. Would you like me to not fix that chair?
How can you bear this country? What do you see that I don't?
The light, colors, smiles. It teaches me something.
She wants to thank you for your kindness.
I haven't been kind.
You are the only one that acknowledges her.
I'm not eating that.
I have a dream to create a home for the elderly so wonderful that they will simply refuse to die.
Oh!
This man is dead. Must preserve his dignity.
Did I nod off?
India, like life itself, I suppose, is about what you bring to it.
I'm really loving this!
You all right?
Just want a glass of water.
That was a gin and tonic.
I know that now.
The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel.
You're not worried about the danger of having sex at your age?
If she dies, she dies.
British retirees travel to India to take up residence in what they believe is a newly restored hotel. Less luxurious in its advertisements, the Marigold Hotel nevertheless slowly begins to charm in unexpected ways. The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel is rated PG-13. In limited release, we have 3 titles this week. The first is First Position, a documentary starring Aaron Bell, Gaia Bomber Yemeni, and Michaela DePrince. First Position is a documentary that follows 6 young dancers from around the world as they prepare for the Youth America Grand Prix, one of the most prestigious ballet competitions in the world. First Position opens in Los Angeles and New York City and is not rated. The next limited title this week is LOL, a comedic drama starring Miley Cyrus, Douglas Booth, and Ashley Greene. As the new year of school begins, Lola's heart is broken by her boyfriend, though soon she's surprised by her best friend, promising musician Kyle, who reveals his feelings for her. LOL is rated PG-13. And the last title on this week's list is A Little Bit of Heaven, a comedic drama starring Kate Hudson, Gail Garcia Bernal, and Kathy Bates. An irreverent young woman who uses her humor to prevent matters from getting serious has a life-changing visit with her doctor. A Little Bit of Heaven is rated PG-13. Next up, we'll take a look at the home entertainment slate for May 1st, and we start off with new releases to Blu-ray and DVD, and that list starts off with Haywire, an action thriller starring Gina Carano, Ewan McGregor, and Michael Fassbender. A Black Ops super soldier seeks payback after she's betrayed and set up during a mission. Haywire is rated R. The next film on the list is Joyful Noise, a music comedy starring Queen Latifah, Dolly Parton, and Keke Palmer. Gigi Sparrow faces off with their choir's newly appointed director V. Rose Hill over the group's direction as they head into the national competition. Joyful Noise is rated PG-13. Next up, we have New Year's Eve, a romantic comedy starring Sarah Jessica Parker, Jessica Biel, and Ashton Kutcher. The lives of several couples and singles in New York City intertwine over the course of the New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is rated PG-13. And the last title on this week's Blu-ray and DVD new releases is W.E., a historical drama starring Abby Cornish, James D'Arcy, and Andrea Riseborough. W.E. is about the affair between King Edward VIII and American divorcee Wallace Simpson, and a contemporary romance between a married woman and a Russian security guard. W.E. is rated R. Moving right along to TV on DVD, we start things off with Covert Affairs, Season 2, starring Piper Perabo, Peter Gallagher, and Christopher Gorham. Runaway hit original series Covert Affairs stars Golden Globe-nominated Piper Perabo as Annie Walker, a young CIA operative whose exceptional linguistic skills and spot-on instincts make her invaluable to the agency. In Season 2, Annie's personal and professional lives crash into one another, and the balance of her relationships are changed forever. The next title on the list is Suits, Season 1, starring Gabriel Macht, Patrick J. Adams, and Rick Hoffman. The new original series Suits delves into fast-paced, high-stakes world of a top Manhattan corporate law firm where hotshot attorney Harvey Specter makes a risky move by hiring the brilliant but unmotivated Mike Ross as his new associate. The only problem is, he doesn't have an actual law degree. With his encyclopedic knowledge and uncanny knack of remembering things, Mike proves to be a legal prodigy despite the absence of a bona fide legal credentials. Bound by their secret, the two are forced to keep up the charade as they become an irrepressible duo. The series also stars Meghan Markle, Gina Torres, Sarah Rafferty, and Rick Hoffman. And last on our TV on DVD list this week, we have Felicity Season 2, starring Scott Speedman, Scott Foley, and Greg Grunberg. No one ever said following your heart would be easy. Golden Globe Award winner Kerry Russell returns as Felicity, America's favorite co-ed, for a sophomore year full of surprises. As Felicity bounces back from her beginning of the year breakup with high school love Ben, she adopts a new hairdo and a new perspective on life. Changing her major from pre-med to art, Felicity steps out to find herself and kindle new relationships. From mudslinging campus politics to Ben's end-of-the-season profession of true love, Felicity Season 2 is a whirlwind of passion, heartache, and those small decisions that can change your life forever. Next up, we'll take a look at the titles coming to Netflix streaming for the week of April 29th to May 5th. April 29th is a quiet day, but April 30th has two new titles. The first is Stolen, a crime drama from 2009 starring John Hamm, Josh Lucas, and Rona Murda. A detective deals with the loss of his own son while trying to uncover the identity of a boy whose mummified remains are found in a box buried for 50 years. Stolen is rated R. The other title on April 30th is Staunton Hill, a horror thriller from 2009 starring Kathy Lampkin, Kristen Coppen, and David Roundtree. It's the fall of 1969 and the winds of change are blowing across America. But on a remote family farm in the hills of Virginia, a storm of evil has been brewing for years. Now for a group of young people hitchhiking to a rally in D.C., a detour to the nightmare homestead of the Stauntons will rip apart their young lives forever. A grisly secret is waiting, the raw terror is growing, and the clan's brutal harvest is about to begin. Staunton Hill is not rated. There are about 70, that's 70, new titles coming to Netflix on May 1st. The full list will be in the show notes, but I'm just going to give you a sampling of that list into this show. The first title is Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, an action film from 2003 starring Drew Barrymore, Lucy Liu, and Cameron Diaz. The Angels investigate a series of murders that occur after the theft of a witness protection profile database. Charlie's Angels Full Throttle is rated PG-13. Next in the selection, we have Insomnia, a crime drama from 2002 starring Al Pacino, Robin Williams, and Hilary Swank. Two Los Angeles homicide detectives are dispatched to a northern town where the sun doesn't set to investigate the methodical murder of a local teen. Insomnia is rated R. Next up, we have Starship Troopers, an action film from 1997 starring Casper Van Dien, Denise Richards, and Dina Meyer. Humans in a fascist, militaristic future do battle with giant alien bugs in a fight for survival. Starship Troopers is rated R. Next on the list is 8 Seconds, a biographical drama from 1994 starring Luke Perry, Stephen Baldwin, and James Rebhorn. This film chronicles the life of Lane Frost, 1987 PRCA bull riding world champion and one of my childhood heroes, his marriage, and his friendships with Tuff Hedeman, 3-time world champion, and Cody Lambert. 8 Seconds is rated PG-13. Next on the list is Groundhog Day, a comedic drama from 1993 starring Bill Murray, Andy McDowell, and Chris Elliott. A weatherman finds himself living the same day over and over and over and over again. Groundhog Day is rated PG. The next title is Stuart Little, an adventure comedy from 1999 starring Michael J. Fox, Gina Davis, and Hugh Laurie. The Little family adopt a charming young mouse named Stuart, but the family cat wants rid of him. Stuart Little is rated PG. The next title is one of John Drew's favorite movies. That's Sneakers, a comedic crime drama from 1992 starring Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd, and Sidney Poitier. Sneakers is a complex but lighthearted thriller about computers and cryptography, government and espionage, secrets, and deception and betrayal. Sneakers is rated PG-13. Next we have The Karate Kid, an action drama from 1984 starring Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, and Elizabeth Shue. A handyman and martial arts master agrees to teach a bully boy karate, and shows him that there is more to the martial art than fighting. The Karate Kid is rated PG. The next title takes us back to Kalendathu with Starship Troopers 3 Marauder, an action-adventure film from 2008 starring Casper Van Dien, Jolene Blalock, and Stephen Hogan. Johnny Rico is called back into action to defeat the bugs. Starship Troopers 3 Marauder is rated R. And the last title from the selection of May 1st new releases is Letters from Iwo Jima, a historical drama from 2007 starring Ken Watanabe, Kazunari Ninomiya, and Tsuyoshi Ihara. Letters from Iwo Jima tells the story of the Battle of Iwo Jima between the United States and Imperial Japan during World War II, as told from the perspective of the Japanese who fought it. Letters from Iwo Jima is rated R. After May 1st cornucopia of titles, May 2nd only has one. That's Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, a horror thriller from 2011 starring Katie Holmes, Guy Pearce, and Bailey Madison. A young girl sent to live with her father and his new girlfriend discovers creatures in her new home who want to claim her as one of their own. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark is rated R. May 3rd is quiet, as is May 5th, but right in the middle is May 4th, and one title called Making Warhorse, a documentary from 2009. Making Warhorse is the story of how Michael Morpurgo's children's novel became one of the most popular and acclaimed productions in the National Theatre's history. Making Warhorse is not rated. We'll wrap up our home entertainment slate with 5 titles in Blu-rays from the past. The first is Jeremiah Johnson, a Western drama from 1972 starring Robert Redford, Will Geer, and Del Bolton. A mountain man who wishes to live the life of a hermit becomes the unwilling object of a long vendetta by Indians when he proves to be the match of their warriors in 1-to-1 combat on the early frontier. Jeremiah Johnson is rated PG. The next title is Clueless, a comedic romance from 1995 starring Alicia Silverstone, Stacey Dash, and Brittany Murphy. Clueless is a U.S. West Coast teen lifestyle parody centered around Cher, a popular high school girl who spends her days playing matchmaker, helping her friends with fashion choices, and looking for a boyfriend. Clueless is rated PG-13. The next title is Meet Joe Black, a drama from 1998 starring Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins, and Claire Forlani. A media mogul acts as a guide to death, who takes the form of a young man to learn about life on Earth and in the process, fall in love with the guide's daughter. Meet Joe Black is rated PG-13. The penultimate title on our list is Casablanca, the 70th Anniversary Edition, a drama from 1942 starring Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, and Paul Hunride. Set in unoccupied Africa during the early days of World War II, an American expatriate meets a former lover with unforeseen complications. Casablanca is not rated. And last on our list is Pillow Talk, a comedic romance from 1959 starring Rock Hudson, Doris Day, and Tony Randall. A man and woman share a telephone line and despise each other, but then he has fun by romancing her with his voice disguised. Pillow Talk is unrated. And now we'll wrap this up with 2 items in the Quick Flicks. I'll start out by whetting your appetite for the summer season. A week ahead of the United States debut, The Avengers opened in 39 foreign territories and dominated box offices with $178.4 million. The movie took first place in every one of its markets and set new opening weekend records in a dozen of them as well. The Avengers had its best debut in the United Kingdom with $24.7 million, which is the 16th all-time start there. In Australia, it took in $19.7 million, which is the second highest 5-day opening ever. It set records in Mexico with $15.9 million, Brazil with $11.3 million, Taiwan with $7.7 million, the Philippines with $6.5 million, Hong Kong with $4.6 million, and 7 other smaller markets. The movie also had very strong starts in South Korea, France, Italy, and Spain. That $178.4 million debut ranks 9th on the all-time foreign openings chart, and it reached that point with only 70% of its potential theaters. It has yet to debut in major markets China, Russia, and Japan. Chinese and Russian audiences get the movie with the United States this coming weekend, while the Japanese, well, they have to wait until August. On average, The Avengers opened over twice as high as Iron Man 2, which is the current record holder with $311.5 million, though that record likely will not stand for long. Analysts speculate that The Avengers could reasonably finish up with nearly $600 million overseas. 2 weeks ago, I asked your opinion on 3D re-releases, and you have spoken. Tallying up the votes and submitted comments, no one said that they most definitely work, and 7 listeners said that they do not work. Podcaster Brian Weber of Arkle Studios voted no, with the caveat that he was physiologically biased. He said, even well-done 3D like in Avatar and Up gives me headaches. Dee Donovan and Emma Woopeel agreed to that comment. Catherine Parkins from Michigan added that she hasn't seen any movies in 3D because she's not impressed by the technology or the cost. And John Zahner, one of my former shipmates from the Navy, remarked that, as I said when I learned that The Last Emperor was being released in 3D, why must everything I love be destroyed? I've only seen 2 films in 3D, including Avatar, and I wasn't impressed by the technology. I can think of no reason to watch an old, loved movie with unnecessary glasses on. As a side note, watching 3D movies reminds me of looking through the periscope. It doesn't give you the natural depth perception. Christine Austin from Georgia also said she's not impressed at all with 3D or any other special effects. She watches movies for the stories. I can agree with that sentiment. 6 people said they would work better in 2D, and 9 people said that it depends on the movie. Rich Brendel from Rapid City, South Dakota voted that it depends on the movie, remarking that he thought it worked better for the recent Star Wars release, but not for Titanic. Nick Faulkner, my brother from Utah, agreed that it depended on the movie, but also focused on the increased cost for going to see 3D movies. And finally, Jacob Cogswell from Salt Lake City, Utah, remarked that Titanic was an awful movie to begin with, and now it can suck at 3D. Thanks to everyone who contributed for your support on this poll. I enjoyed reading your comments, and I look forward to doing this again in the future. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to chronicrift.com and leave a note in the forums. Leave a voicemail at 888-866-9010 or write to John at chronicrift.com. You can follow us on Tumblr, tweet us on Twitter, check in the network on GetGlue, watch the classics on Funny or Die, give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, and leave us a review on iTunes. You can also find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook and Google+. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make through the store supports the Chronic Rift. Look for the link in our show notes. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. This is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. I'll see you at the theater.
That's a wrap.